Second.
Welcome, everybody. Start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Indigenous peoples and ancestors whose lands we now share. We can move to the agenda. It's a pretty light agenda with no additions. Anybody have any additional additions? Seeing none, I'll get a motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Reeve, all in favor? Linda, you can throw your hand up if you want, or I'll just take you as a yes unless you say otherwise. Minutes from February the 10th. Any discussion arising from those? Any errors, corrections? Seeing none.
I'll move the
Okay,
minutes.
Councillor Cynthia moves to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. All in favor? Carried. 4.0, no delegations today. We do have one. Well, in camera. Yeah. But nothing under 4.0 though. 6.1.1 is our council legislative. So the Royal Canadian Legion Grimshaw has a request. Sure you've all seen it. Do you want to speak to this? So do we know if they applied under board funding?
No, they didn't. This is one of the more like a sponsorship, not program and service. So they're asking, for a gift basket to raffle off. Or I checked with Trinity and we have a few things that we could put into their welcome bags. So council just has to decide. For a raffle, it is advised to maybe buy something that would be appropriate to who's putting money towards the silent auction, right? Like something that would sell and bring them money. So if you wanted to put a dollar amount to do a silent auction item, council has done that in the past for other areas.
Well, I think a small, reasonable silent auction gift would be appropriate.
And your third option, they said in the letter too, you can just do a cash donation.
Well, it's council with us.
Is it either the welcome bag item or a raffle item or both? Either or.
One of those three.
Just a comment from Councillor Alabisky that if she cannot speak, but if she's not in agreement, she will give us the thumbs down.
Okay. We'll try to watch when we take a vote. So I mean, what would be a appropriate amount to buy a gift basket for a silent auction? And throw some county swag in it and buy a few items, or do you have enough items here to make one up? Doesn't look like it. I mean, lady cards, dollars and seat cards.
She has a couple of larger ones, like I think for domino or that big,
Will that board with the all?
yeah, we can certainly put that in with something that would attract a buyer at the silent auction. Council wanted to, do a budget of $100 or $125, we might be able to find even something handmade or something locally put into the basket.
Legion gathering, put a 6-pack of beer in there, they'll all.
We bought honey before. Got nice stuff locally produced.
You were saying one of those playing boards, maybe some cards, and then some local items like honey or jam or whatever you can buy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be $100 probably.
Still have
I mean, if you include the price of the board, it would be, I guess, but.
Yeah, I think the boards are over $48
Yeah.
or something.
Popping up with a little bit of stuff, that's the same stuff.
Yeah, so council just wanted to set a budget limit, Trinity and I can look into that.
I'll make a motion that we do a gift basket for $150, $250.
Yes. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? None of it, call it yes, that's carried. Okay, item B is the ordinance meeting that we had planned for today, but had a conflict this afternoon, so we canceled and we need to find a date to reschedule it. And I guess the thought was we'll just maybe have a separate day, not try and piggyback on a council meeting.
Especially for the first, at least the first one, maybe the first few, just
There's more
to
than
get,
two.
to catch up.
So the week of the 8th is open, other than council meeting. 16th, we're going to RNA. 23rd is, well, there's a council meeting. And we're going to Dawson Creek to meet with that interprovincial committee on Wednesday. Is there any days that aren't good for anybody?
The 11th, I have the prayer meeting.
Okay,
Doesn't work for me, but you.
That week would be a good one to avoid for me, that's where.
okay. So let's jump down to that week of the 23rd then.
Pretty much open. Yeah.
Monday or Thursday?
26.
Monday is the only day I'm available.
It will be available.
No, I'm only available Monday.
26th, what?
Is booked. I've got Grimshaw gravel
Okay,
and
we're gonna show that.
and also the annual meeting for the paras on the 26th.
Okay.
So.
We're good with the 23rd.
Charles just said he only.
I'm good for the 23rd.
Yeah.
That's, I'm open on that.
Yeah. Okay, let's try the 23rd. And
9 o'clock.
usual start time, yeah. Good word. Okay, we'll just get we need a motion for that or not? Okay, Gary, move that we reschedule our ordinance meeting for March 23rd. 8 PM. Mr. Chambers. All in favor? It's carried. Linda, did you get that marked in your diary? March 23rd, ordinance meeting at 9 AM. We'll follow up with an email just to remind everybody. Okay, item C is the Interprovincial Committee of Municipalities.
I can speak on that one, Chair. So I reached out to them to see if we can get it, that we don't need 2 elected officials to actually attend with an administration person. But according to their terms of reference, they do need 2 elected officials with an admin person, otherwise they don't have quorum at the moment. They will probably look at changing that in the future, but for now it is not. So since we're on it, we need 2 people to attend and maybe have an alternate,
Less than all.
just have an alternate in case one of the 2 can't attend. So, and then they also send the terms of reference as it is now, so the council can contact you. So I need an alternate.
I can do that.
You do
Terms
that.
of reference.
Okay, Gary, you volunteered. Anybody else wanna compete? Okay, well, let's get a motion that will appoint Councillor Thies as alternate to this committee and adopt the terms of reference as presented. Okay, Councillor Reese, all in favor? It's carried. We're just smoking through this. 6.1.2, item A is a CAO report.
Walk slowly. So I attended an online webinar from the SMR Nuclear Canada 101 webinar. I think of all the ones that I've attended so far on the Nuclear 101, this is probably the one that I found that was that you presented. I think the provincial one was probably the best one I've attended so far. They really did it on a level that you can understand it a whole lot better. This was very technical. It was a very technical presentation. Circular materials, they were supposed to be like a delegate on council meeting, the council meeting today, but they say they don't really present to council, so they just can present to administration, and then help us put something together that we can present back to council. They are looking at starting off the recycling in October. So this year, so very, very brave. And
Who makes up this working group? Like, is it RMA and a number of communities?
well, there's like 300 people on the group. It's like all the municipalities. I think RMA is on there. A bunch of them. So I've extended the invite now that there's like a monthly workshop that they have online. So I've extended it to Charles and to probably to Kevin to just have a look at because we do collection and we have our own what do you call it, landfill in Keg River. So we probably also need to look at what's going to happen over there. More information I do not have yet, but just we are building towards having recycling, October is what they say.
And there's no elected people in this group, it's all administrative people?
No, it's all administration. You guys are welcome to sit on it just if you want information, but we'll probably work together to get some sort of presentation to council on whatever there is. I can share the documents that they've shared with us in these meetings. It's not in camera, so it should be good. I'll share that with council in the meantime. There's some good reading there. You guys have spare time. Then we attended the first PREC meeting for the year. There is 2 new members, Town Manning and Nampa. Yesterday we had Berwin extra, so it was looking good.
Yeah, so, you said that Berlin was now on board too?
They're on board to now, but this was just the first meeting they were in the year.
Who's the rep for that town meeting?
It's Mabel Down.
And the CEO attended, and I think they appointed Greg, I think, as a second member, who can make it to that meeting.
All good on that one. And then the RMO zone meeting, that was quite interesting. Congratulations to our zone chair, Councillor Chuck. Well done. We asked them if they want to do one there too, either. Some notes from Minister Williams there. The accountability framework is still on track, and they say early spring we will have the first draft of that. He's still committed to that. And then something that we probably need to get a little bit more information on, which they haven't really shared from a provincial side, is on the red tape reduction. That's where there'd be automatic approvals on certain development permits and stuff like that. So we don't know what's going to be included and what's going to be excluded. So as soon as that is more detailed, we'll probably bring it back so we can either change our bylaws or change our policy or procedures, or how we're going to implement that. For now, I do not know what they exactly mean by all of that. All I know is that they're trying to fast track development and building of new places and stuff like that. I think our processes are quite streamlined, and we also, there's later on an RFP that will follow to even get it further streamlined, especially on the subdivision side. Unpaid oil and gas, that's an astronomical amount of money. 254 million, that's already outstanding and climbing every year. So I think, in my opinion, the province needs to put some priority on that, because that's going to escalate quite substantially. Because I mean, if we as municipalities are owed 254 million, how much is the province own? With the 8 to 12 billion, depends on who you ask, deficit we have on the provincial budget, there's all your budget for that.
What's Argyle, what's more or less ballpark? Is it not accounting what we wrote off?
Bill probably knows, I just gave this to him. I can't remember, it's just under 4, I think, but buried in that is a lot of penalties. And that's probably the same in that number that they're giving you. So the only reason ours grows or has grown in the last 3 years now is it's all penalties.
Well, they had,
The people that are, on our naughty list, so to speak, are not being taxed anymore.
Well, and they used to show that on the slides at the zone too, like what it was last year with all the penalties applied to what it grew to this year.
Yeah, 4.8.
4.8.
4.8.
In there, yeah.
And of that, there's 3 of them that comprise about 70% of that.
Right, and they haven't gone into receivership or bankruptcy yet, those three?
Oh, no, they're totally bankrupt.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get not a penny of that.
Oh, okay.
That's actually a scary number. If you look at 254 million, that is almost 2% of that number is our number.
Plus what we already wrote off, we already
Yeah.
wrote some off, right?
The only time we ever wrote anything off was when we did the perk application. So I think we did 2 years in a row there. Other than that's, they don't. When people go into receivership, we don't want to write them off. In theory, there's a chance you'll still be compensated as part of that process. Just the way it happened up here, kind of the state of the stuff that they hold when they get to that point. It seems to be that this is always their oldest, most unsellable assets and all of their holdings across the province.
The big reclamation.
Yeah.
Waiting.
And that's, so we saw that specifically with Long Run. They had deals all over the province for everything, but not a single time over the span of 2.5 years did anybody seem to pique interest at anything they owned up here. So
And so wasn't the deal ready to get off, then we could get reimbursed for our school tax then, or school?
part of it, yeah, a portion of it, but also if they're not being taxed anymore, it's just penalties. There's no education taxes on penalties, so it was kind of worth it initially in those first few years, and then after that, when it's just minuscule, it's especially when there's still a pending bankruptcy or receivership proceeding, it's better to leave it go a little bit so you can hopefully get something.
Are some of those still in receivership?
Well, all of them are
Oh,
still,
they all are.
or the big ones are all still active, yeah. It takes a lot of years.
What would be the point of continuing with penalties if we're never gonna get
Um,
money back? Just.
It's harder to purposely exclude them from our penalty practices, honestly. Is the only, and really, that's the balance they owe you, so we're gonna keep growing it.
But.
Beefs up your claims, I guess, if they ever.
Remember, better advocacy is when we go to Congress.
Yeah.
Better do something, you're
It's one of the reasons I made this comment on the budget variance one too. That's why your penalties are always so much higher than what we budget. In a perfect world, we don't want those people to go into receivership, so we don't ever bank on that, and in reality, we're gonna write most of that off anyway, so.
Okay,
Then continuing on my side, so all 6 resolutions passed was the first time I've seen no debate, no nothing on any of the 6 resolutions, and it all passed unanimously, so I think people wanted to go home or something. Just before Valentine's Day. Then we had a presentation from Derek Young. It's always nice to see him there. He always brings a good vibe to them, to the difficult topics on, and I think he's a really asset for ATEC. And
I like the way this time he kind of printed off, so
yeah,
you're not trying to make notes.
make notes of everything. So I just took off that notes. I took some highlights there that we can probably have a look at. So this is what's more or less in our municipality. So there's like a pavement rehabilitation on Highway 691 and 741 from the town of Manning all the way to 691 and 741. Sorry, and 741. They're going to do some chip seal from Dixonville to Manning. Ongoing bridge maintenance at the Hotchkiss River and also at the Notikewin River here. Highway maintenance contract will have a new contractor by August 2027, so they're putting it out this year.
Not necessarily a new contractor.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Well, it will be a
Opportunity.
New contract.
It will be a new contract. And they are going to split it up into like areas or zones. And there's going to be, they try to put 3 zones per area out is what they explained it to us there. And then shock to me is 686 from Peerless Lake and Peerless and Trout Lake all the way to Fort McMurray. I mean, that's even going to be 7 years before they're going to have the first shovel in the ground. That's scary. 7 years.
Can build a nuclear plant quicker than that.
That's why I was going. So it's probably gonna, if that is just to build a road, it's gonna take surely a little bit more for shovels in the ground for the nuclear project or earlier than 7 years. And then we had a meeting with our fleet management. They said we're in good shape there. There's a bit of a shortage on some of the trucks. If you order, it takes up to 5-6 months to get some of the stock in now.
Yeah, that was just due to a fire at an aluminum plant.
Yeah. So we will probably put out and then there's another RAD to get some of the capital items approved sooner, so we don't wait for the actual approval of the full budget. But I'll get Charles to speak on those, and then I'll take questions if there's any.
Thanks, Gary.
Any news coming out of your East Regional Energy Committee? Any news? Anything new?
Well, there will be an update this afternoon as part of the camera session we're having later on. Other than that, not much new that I can.
So we can say, even though the presentation will be in camera, that the committee has agreed to engage with a consultant to help with communications and help with municipal funding, you know, as needed for the, guess what lies ahead for the municipalities. So that's kind of what, probably the biggest thing we talked about there. Otherwise, it was kind of an introduction of the new members, which was Napa and Manny, and yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Was there one Merwin was about that meeting, but
Yeah, a little bit.
anything else, Caitlin, that was any highlights there?
A lot of information sharing, trying to catch the new members up. Discussing Jake's upcoming schedule for this week and where he's going to be, and that was pretty much it for the last meeting.
It was pretty brief meeting.
Yeah, we was there for about an hour and a half.
Are you gonna be meeting as often, or
Pardon me.
are you gonna be meeting as often?
I think the terms of reference are still
Still
monthly, but we kind of agreed that maybe,
It's every second month.
yeah,
This is
something
something
going
scheduled
on.
at the moment.
So I think our next one is April, so we're gonna miss March, right?
Yeah, April 9th.
Any other questions on the CEO report? If not, your motion to accept it for information. Councillor Declan, all in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Jared. Move down to 6.1.5, finance, director of finance report.
So just a few quick things to run through. For those of you sitting and waiting in anticipation, wondering why we haven't seen a bank reconciliation for a while, which I'm sure is all of you. Yeah, we just have a reporting issue following an update on our software, so waiting for that to be fixed before I'm comfortable bringing it to you. In like the actual exercise of reconciling everything is all done, the report just broke some links, so it doesn't make sense. So it's a programming fix that needs to happen. So you'll see probably 2 or 3 of those at once when they get to you. T4 is one of the many things we've got on the go right now, so these are due to be filed the end of the week, so hopefully you guys will actually have them before you leave today, but maybe tomorrow. So just remember, don't file your taxes till we give those to you, I guess. It's early anyway. Council grants, when I wrote this, I didn't know if we had any requests for money on this meeting, so just a quick little update there. Following the last meeting, you've spent or committed 8,100 of your 62,500 that were unallocated in miscellaneous grants. Keep that in mind, I guess, plus another
Plus
250, yeah. So
That's
Yeah.
that's
the numbers can't change themselves yet in your report as you make decisions, but. Then one that we actually need a motion for, we just, and I say we, so I sit on the Manning Minor Hockey Executive as well. So it's getting close to the end of the season, thank God. So April 13th is gonna be the date for our awards ceremony, 6 o'clock at the theater. So we've always invited the Reeve and the mayor or delegate from both to come and provide greetings, so looking for Terry or somebody else to come do that again for us. So year-end prep, that's why I look stressed every day this time of year, a lot of work to get done before the auditors get here. I said no real significant issues thus far. I did have one more pop up related, and again, it's just a reporting thing, but. Our tax aging report is missing a bunch of information now, so the numbers aren't jiving, so. I've got the kind people at Sylogist working on two fairly substantial things, the bank rec and this at the same time. Under a time crunch, because those guys will be here in about 10 days, so. Waiting and out of my hands, I guess, so waiting for them to fix it. Like I said, the auditors are tentatively scheduled for, I have the 9th to the 11th, I think it's actually Tuesday to Thursday, so I think that's the 10th to the 12th, if I understand correctly. Rural renewal stream update, so after our last meeting, that the program administrator did reach out. They were hesitant to respond about doing a delegation to council. And quite honestly, because they don't want to do that for everybody, so they don't want to start. It's the reason they do the monthly meetings with everybody that I attend. Which was fine, we kind of hashed it out anyway. But what they said, it was a multi-purpose phone call, so that part, and then good news, you guys have 17 allocations. So how that works is there's a big pool of people that have what's called an expression of interest submitted. Every so often the province will dole out so many actual invitations to apply, they call them, to those people who are sitting in that queue, I guess. So they've said that they've issued 16 invitations to people in our area from our 17 allocations, which is good news, I guess. Don't know who they are, other than the few that have reached out to me to get updated letters. And there was one kind of problematic one that I indicated here. And it was an individual who, on their expression of interest, indicated that they had an endorsement letter, but they did not. So sparked kind of a interesting conversation between us, where they recommended we don't give that person a letter now, or if we want to give them a letter, explain to them that because they lied, they'd probably be docked points on their scorecard, and there's a chance that they may go through the whole process, which includes a $1,500 fee paid to the province now, just to be told you no longer qualify and we're not accepting you. And I said, wow, that sounds 100% like not my problem, and maybe you guys should reach out as part of your thing. So we debated lightly back and forth. This person has reached out directly and through parent as well. There's a member of the community that has taken it upon themselves to write just like a letter of support, I guess, of this person, but just so you all know, out of my control completely. I don't really care. I'll write them one and just make it known to them that you may be wasting $1,500 because you lied on your application. Probably not lied, probably didn't understand. Regardless, it's that's what happens with this program. So when I have these conversations with people, when they come speak with me or Carly, we make it very clear, our only role in this process is to write them a letter of endorsement once we know that the employer is real and their job offer is real. It's seemingly like 5 employers here in the county or town, so it's pretty easy to keep track. But yeah, implications, I guess, so on that front. And then just one that I forgot to throw on here. I am scheduled to be in Grand Prairie for an employment law seminar, one that I attend annually, March 6th, I believe it's the Friday of that week. Whatever day that is.
Thanks, Josh.
You bet.
The rural renewal thing there, what's your feeling, just not gonna give them a letter, or give them a letter with outlining?
So they haven't come in yet, we've only had a conversation with them over the phone, but I'll give them one if they want. They just need to understand that there's a chance they might go through the process and be rejected. It's hard to explain that when there's language barriers, as I'm sure you can all understand, but that's kind of what we can do in that respect. Kind of another, I've been very vocal about my discontent with this program, but it's just another reason, right? Like all we are is an interface between a local employer and a person that has come here on a work visa. We have no control or very limited even scope or insight into the scoring and how they do that. We have no control over who they invite unless we limit who we're endorsing. So to tell me that I should advise that person on their score now and that they're gonna be rejected is just silly to me, for lack of a better word. And I'm not dealing with actual like elected officials or any ministers or anything in this, it's program administrators, so I give them exactly what I think every time we talk to them. And they say that they relay it, whether they do or not, I don't know, but that's how we handle it, if that answers your question.
So we're both, like, the people you deal with, are they out of Edmonton or Grand
Yeah,
Prairie?
on Edmonton, yeah.
Okay, and then as far as the banning minor hockey award thing, I mean, I'm available, but if somebody else wants to go, I'm fine with that too.
You go ahead.
So,
You wanna go first this time after the last year?
And any questions for Josh's finance update? If not, we'll get a motion to accept this information and approve me to attend the Manny Minor Hockey Awards. So we can roll it all into one kind of a. All good that fits, Manny Minor Hockey.
Yeah.
Councillor
I just didn't wanna type up a whole thing, so.
Pease has made that motion. Any questions? All in favor? Security.
We pay you to go, so it's financed.
Okay, we can jump down the next item, 6.1.6 is capital item purchases. Charles. The expensive shopping list there.
It is. And I got the full shopping list. So as Garrett kind of alluded to, there is a bit of a delay in getting certain things. And yeah, we just want to move forward if council's okay with it.
So this grader replacements, it's not a grader, it's actually for wallets, isn't it?
No, it's the grader.
Oh, okay.
I think on the capital budget, it said
Yeah.
grader and wobble.
And wobbles.
Wobblies, yeah.
Oh,
We don't need to do the wobblies anymore, so I'm not sure why Josh put that on there. You can blame him. Cause we got them already, so we can just transfer them from one unit to the next.
and so it's grant funding. It was under the grant holiday.
Yeah, I think Josh pulls in at LGF for that.
So these are been budgeted items, right?
Yeah, they're all on your capital budget list in your preliminary one. You guys just keep it preliminary until we bring you the mill rate proposals, and that's when we've historically always made it final. In my 10 years of being here, I think there's 1 year where you actually made any significant changes between the preliminary and the final budget because of the mill rate implications. Don't foresee any big swings this year with that, with what's been added to you. I say that hesitantly only because I do not have that information yet, but if history would show anything, I don't think it's going to swing.
So the
So,
airport system, sorry, Charles, that was something that I just refresh us on that. I mean, that was something that was due for replacement.
yeah, so it's. on its last legs. You can't get replacement parts or anything for it. Even the service guys hesitant to touch it. So it is an extremely vital system to the airport. Let's pilots know all the info they need, so without it, pilots will have a fun time landing.
I just won't mind.
Yeah, it's super outdated, as Josh just mentioned, it's running on Windows 8.
Which is a problem, it's unsupported.
Yeah, like it's,
Software behind it.
it's dying. So out of the capital budget list, these are kind of the three more important things that I wanted to get moving on.
Okay.
That's why I'm bringing it to you guys. Cause I mean, the flat deck truck, we put that off a year. I tried to get 2 last year, we fucked it down to 1. And the grader, that's just typical.
And that's for the south? Or the north?
Too soon. It's for the north. And we will. Yeah, when it comes to the replacement of that one, we may come to you guys for another decision on which grader to replace, which to keep. Simply because there is one unit in particular right now that poses some maintenance issues.
So this grader, Charles, it's already sourced and.
Yeah, like we had already got the quotes, back when we did the budget, so now it'll just be. Refresh the quotes, make sure. Nothing major has changed.
And what brand is it?
Well, we've gotten 2 quotes, one from John Deere and one from Cat, and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I believe it's Cat. Was the goal.
Well, I guess that'll be a future discussion then, on, you said you may come back with.
On which graders to replace, because
Yeah.
this is technically supposed to replace
Right.
one grader, but. That's actually a decent grader, so Josh and I still need to have a conversation about that.
I probably would have said something last time, except that I thought it was for the wobblies. Like the
Oh.
attachments. And I know we did talk about this somewhat before, but I would really like to see the county going to more contract graders. Of this for cost saving. That's
I
my
can-
comment on
I can make a comment on that one. As part of our negotiations we had with the union is that we will sort of keep it as it is. So we will open up agreements with the union if that is the case.
Really? So the union has got us hostage on even on contract leaders.
Yeah, they don't want us to extend the
Of course they
number of
don't.
contracts. It's our.
that.
Right.
That we had established that that's our prerogative to arrange that as we see fit. At our when the last time I was involved in negotiating.
It's absolutely up to council. I'm just giving the information from when we did the negotiations with the union. Is that there will be a.
Cause my thing is, I think like as far as the operator, like I'm sure. We could find a spot for him, right? Because in the summer, you're always shorthanded. And what are they doing when they're not running the grader? They're doing other things, so. I don't think there's a problem as far as. This keeping the operating.
So just a little bit of background too, I'm talking with the Reeve from Mackenzie, they're all in-house grader, they're union as well. They're wanting to start to make that switch to some contract graders, so I don't know how that'll. They're also saying.
Clear Hills County is all contractors.
Pardon me?
Clear Hills County is all contract graders.
So anyway, Mackenzie, I mean, they got that same issue if the union says that, so, but of course. They're ready to stand up to the union and say, no. We wanna make a bit of a shift to some contract graders, not 100%.
I think this is not necessarily a public conversation.
No, But anyway, I guess, I mean, these are priority items for the capital budget and those have been budgeted for approved. I guess I just, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that with what we discussed with one of our major taxpayers in the municipality, we're gonna have to maybe be mindful of as we,
100%.
you know, that we maybe a period of call it belt tightening, I guess, and but so for today's purposes, and you're looking for a motion to proceed with these three items which you've identified as priorities, so. Any further discussion on that?
But did you just say it would be replacing a grader that's not really, that's still good? Or what?
No, so that'll be a different discussion,
Oh.
like I'll come back to, similar to what I did here last go around. Where we said, look, the grader that this one is replacing or supposed to replace. Just had a new transmission in it, or, well, in that case. So it doesn't make sense to get rid of that one, let's get rid of this one instead. So,
The, in the simplest way, everything is built in policy and is replaced based on age or hours, so every 7 years is what the graders come to you guys at, so. Like Charles was just alluding to there could be an instance where at year 5 or year 6, a new motor or a transmission or something that's basically new. And then if we have another one that's been lemon, might make sense, if possible, to get rid of that one early instead. But because it's against policy, technically it has to come with. Those things will happen every single year.
So this one,
Yeah.
this is just following the replacement schedule.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Somebody prepared to make a motion to proceed with the procurement process for the three capital items?
I'll move it.
Okay, please, any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you, council.
Okay, we're gonna be on page 2, but let's take a break. We got lots of time. Anyway. Blake is, I see his truck is here, so he must be here. Again, in the green room. All right, we'll reconvene and go to page 2 of the agenda. 6.3.1, item A is Director of Public Works report.
Yes. So dust control. We're. Galen gave me a guy's contact info. For a new kind of product, talked to him a bit. Sounds like it could work for us. However, still waiting on numbers from him. And some other information, but when I get that. I'll bring something back to you guys, and what I think would be ideal. Is if we stuck with calcium this year and just trialed this in a few areas. Just to see how it compares to calcium. Depending on the cost, obviously.
So we tried another product a few years back before you were here. It's not the same product. Are you familiar with that?
No, like this is fairly new,
Yeah, okay.
so I don't suspect that it would be, I don't know what they used.
Apparently that one didn't really work out as all it was bragged up to be.
Well, and that's why we kind of want to trial it,
Yeah,
right?
more
So
sort of jump right
maybe put a couple spots on, say, Sunny Valley Road, for example, for high traffic. Put some in some residential areas, see how it works out, but like I said, it all depends on dollar value, what it's gonna be.
You didn't get any indication of how it compared to cost to calcium or?
He didn't, in our conversation that we had, he said it's very much the same effectiveness as calcium. But, and with lower, prep costs. So, yeah, you still need to put your gravel down and all that, but it's not as labor intensive to, where you gotta peel everything up with calcium, get it soaking wet. All that, he says they can just spray it down. And you just let the traffic pack it in. Like I said, I don't know, I'm not sold yet. Yeah, it looks good on paper,
One thing we noticed with calcium, that there was residual, for subsequent years, and this body will have that same lingering
That's,
benefit, but,
that's the selling feature.
yeah,
Yeah.
that you can do it once every 2 years or every 3 years.
yeah, so we'll see what he comes back with, and that's. See what information we get out of it.
Good.
I was hoping to have a little more information by now, but he actually emailed me yesterday saying that new things came to light, so. He was a little vague on what the new things were, so. It'll be interesting to see what he comes back with. And just as a little side note to that too, these guys also do. And it's not practicable for us, but, it's a beet juice de-icer. Which is actually kind of neat, like it's fully organic and apparently transportation's been trialing it and likes it.
So things that we see.
Oh, yeah.
I've been really.
As in beet,
Beet,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is like a red.
Well,
Yeah. Beet juice.
yeah, it was,
That's been out for a while, it's a byproduct of the sugar beet.
yeah, it was kind of interesting. I mean, for us, it doesn't necessarily make sense, we'd have to. Re-rig a plow truck, put sprayers on it, and for the 20 kilometers of pavement that we have just doesn't make sense. But the dust control is kind of interesting, so. Bridge maintenance, we're substantially done. There's a few small items that need to be addressed in the spring. Once everything thaws out, but thankfully, after the wonderful December we had, we're done. And council road tour. What are council's thoughts on setting a date so that we can start planning these? If council wants to do one, it's the exact same council, so I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but we did skip last year, so I'm bringing it forward to you.
Well, I remember we identified something that we wanted to look at with maintenance, which one?
And water plants.
Yeah, just the water treat, or not water treatment, truckless, Weberville and Warrensville.
Yeah, the jug, the pot, the jug fills or whatever.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, I prefer not to, find painful and not of great value.
I enjoy spending the day with council, but yes, it does take away from.
Unless there's something major you want to show. If we kind of
Right
look
now,
at-
you guys are fully aware of everything that's. My brain is dreamed up.
I think if we had some bigger projects or some like big bridge repairs or something worth value to see, I think it's okay to miss this year, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we're still end of February, so there's time if those things come up, all of a sudden, who knows what the spring's gonna do with all the snow. because
Just
some
just
major-
keep in mind that we can't just plan this
Yeah.
drop of a hat, like,
No,
yeah,
I-
just set it.
Unless it's just,
Yeah.
but I mean, if we do it in August like we've done traditionally.
Yeah, we
We sort
can
of got
see,
4 months, 5 months to.
yeah, just wanna keep it in your guys' brain, right? That if there is,
If you want tentative dates, then we can cancel if you think of that.
well, we don't have to set a date right now, that's, I want it to be in your brain, if all council wanted to do it, yeah, sure, we'll set a date. What I'm hearing. It's not super necessary right now, but we'll, like Terry said, we'll see in the spring. Well, that's it for me, unless you guys have questions.
No questions? All's good? Linda right there in the comments.
think we just need to check. And if there's anything that is major, we could decide then.
Yeah, kind of what we said, right? Okay, no other comments or questions for Charles? Get a motion to accept his report, Councillor Jasinski, all in favor? It's carried. Surface water monitoring report. Who wants to?
It's underwater, but it's not amazing.
So I got the report back. It is, I don't know how many hundreds of pages. I summarized it with a little bit of information that I got out of the document. So Napara has been doing some water testing for us. There was a grant last year that we used for that. There is some discussion coming on whether there's no grant funding available for that this year. So it's going to be, if we continue with that 100% funded by the municipality. It's been done since 2011. It's done on the Cake River and the Notikewin rivers. What we got from that seasonal trends for 2025 could not be determined because samples for extensive chemical analysis were only collected in the summer of 25. The samples collected in the fall of 25 were only analyzed for turbidity and TSS, which is system. I don't know. The TSS value should measure in the fall. Samples collected were within the historical ranges. So from 2011, there's nothing major that was picked up. Overall, the quality of waters in both the Notikewin and the Cake River is high, which is reflected in the perfect ARWQI scores. That's all in the report, and I can send council that report. It's quite a thick one. We didn't want to include it in the package because it would have been 2.5 times what the package is at the moment. Well, so recommendations from that report: in subsequent monitoring years, if only annual sample is collected from each site, it's recommended that the samples be collected in the spring because this is when the water quality has historically been the lowest and when potential issues with water quality are most likely to be observed. It is recommended that at least 2 samples from each site be collected per year if budgetary constraints allow. And there's 2 recommendations. The recommendation is that we probably do the 2 collections per site or per river per year. And we still waiting for Napara to give us a quote on how much it's going to cost to actually do the monitoring for us. Jose hasn't come back to us with a final price for that. And
You said there was grant funding previously?
there was, for last year, there was grant funding. They funded us, and I think the budget was like, for some reason I'm thinking it was about $70,000 they got. It's quite a lot.
So we don't know if that'll be available again.
It's definitely not available for this year, as far as I understand.
Is 70,000
I
or
think it was 70,000.
Yes.
I can't remember that. Rather not quote me that. I'll come back to council.
That seems outrageous for
Yes.
a few water samples.
The water testing before was only like $10,500 is what it was quoted at, but they billed us 23,000, the previous company. We're still trying to get an answer why they billed us twice as much as what they quoted us in their agreement. Have not literally heard back from them in 8 months. The new water grant, I think it was for right around 20 as well, is what the parent applied for. Whether they used it all or not, we could probably get a report from Josie. But 70 grand sounds way too high.
I don't know, I think that for that price, I don't know what value we're getting out of it. I mean, it's nice to know the quality of our water. It's very important, but again, this is another download to the municipalities that the environment should be doing this.
Yeah, I think in all the years they've done it, they only picked up like 1 trace where they picked up, I don't even know what chemical, I think it might have been triclopyr. That forestry was spraying in cut blocks and some ran off into the river, so we got a spike come fall of that, but in 20 years, it's basically, or not 20 years, 10 or 15 years they've been doing it, we haven't really seen anything abnormal, so you could probably look at extending, you know, do it every 2 years or 3 years or something and get the cost lower, but not sure how useful the report's been. We do send a copy of it to Mighty Peace Watershed, maybe they really like it, I don't know, maybe they'd wanna partner on financing or finding somebody to pay for it, I'm not sure. Something to talk about when we meet with them.
Who sits on that, on the watershed? Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Brent could ask them if
Because
they see some value in it.
I know when I attended the water and fire one that the watershed hosted in Grand Prairie a couple of years ago, they had like all those stats on there, and there was municipalities that weren't reporting, and then so they had a big gap in their information, and then I remember when we talked about it, like, that's why we agreed to keep going with it, because we didn't want the gap in the information.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have that baseline, but going forward, like, I think, you know, if it's $20,000 or less, then I would say yes, but it's over that.
Last year was the first year we've ever applied for a grant and I sent it to Napera because I never really did the water testing. Teresa always kind of looked after it, I guess, prior to Gerhardt's, and I kind of stepped in last year. And then as soon as I seen it, I'm like, why are we paying for 100% of this when there are grants for it? So then I sent it to Napera and said, because we can't apply for the grant as a municipality, only like research associations could apply for it and nonprofits. So I kind of said to them, I'm like, you know, we give you guys $100,000, like, why don't you fill out this grant and offset this cost for us? And it's a win for us, because then we're not out of pocket the water testing, but the grant cycle might just be closing for 2025, and in sometime in the new year coming up, they might renew another grant, because them growing forward in the SCAP programs from the province, they're like every 5 years. So maybe some of them are just dropping off and they haven't quite announced the new program yet. Because that other one they applied for in the summer, so it might not just be open to be applied for, and then you can't see it till it opens, so it might pop up in the summer, and hopefully the paras, they should get those updates pretty regularly, because they work pretty closely with SCAP. So hopefully something pops up, and then we can do the same thing we did, well, we can do the same thing we did this summer and make sure they apply for it, kind of push them to do that, right, to offset our costs. So something might come up, I guess, the only thing I'm saying.
Is it ever discussed it, Drew? No.
So just a comment from Councillor, basically, if I might, Chair.
Yeah.
I don't think it has changed that much. Why should we pay for it?
Well, we would say, continue, this is contingent on grant funding, right? We have to pay for 100% and might be in jeopardy.
Or maybe we can only do the like the 2 tests per river and compare that to the baseline we have for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
I would like to see us table it until we have that number back, like, I don't wanna see us stopping the program, I mean, if it's $20,000, like, this is the value of our rivers, and like, we need the baseline, we need that information. But I'd hate to see us drop it off, I mean, if it's $20,000 versus 70, that's a huge difference, but I mean, I think we need to have that number before we go ahead and make a decision on something as important as our water source.
Okay, so we're prepared to make a motion, if we table this until we get more information back on the.
Yeah.
On how it's funded, or what the cost is, I guess. and,
Yeah.
We can, if there's any grants.
Well, and then maybe Gary, if you can take it. For the next, para meeting, I don't know how quick they're meeting, but just see where their heads are at, yeah.
And sorry, may I just add to that motion then that we also give a copy of the existing report to the town of Manning.
And when
And the watershed,
Had a
right?
much easier.
you got it up there, we can't see it, but then assuming that it.
Napera has already sent it to Mighty Peace Watershed, so we just have to send it on to.
Oh, okay, perfect, yeah. As long as they all got it, that's.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. 6.1, discussion regarding surveys and subdivision applications. Earl.
Good morning. So the objective of our discussion that we're about to have is to get your direction on whether subdivision applicants should be required to submit a tentative plan of survey prepared by a registered Alberta land surveyor as part of a complete subdivision application, and then how you would want to implement that if you wanted to move forward with it. Some background information for you. This is a little long, so if you have any questions as we go through, feel free to interrupt me. Subdivision approvals are currently based on a tentative plan. These are prepared using measurements provided by the applicant rather than survey verified information. Applicant measurements are not always accurate, and discrepancies can slow down the process, leads to a lot of back and forth. Presently, the cost of preparing tentative plans used for subdivision approval is at the expense of the county rather than the applicant for the subdivision. These plans on which the subdivision is approved by council are not registerable, and the applicant, once approved, needs to obtain a registerable survey plan from a surveyor. The county charges a $100 application fee and a $100 lot per lot created. This cost does not recuperate the cost of the tentative plan, nor the cost of administration's time corresponding with the applicant or confirming measurements. So right now, we're getting about $300 for a subdivision. We're spending a large amount of time with ISL and myself and the applicant talking about where each piece of that is on the map. And then we're finding that those measurements don't always add up. So we're spending more time confirming and going back and forth. And then at the end of the day, we're still having the approved subdivision go and get that survey anyways.
We might as well do that up front.
Yeah, so we're thinking that moving forward, requiring the survey based tentative plan earlier in the process would kind of eliminate some of those costs, some of the inaccuracies. We'd find those issues a lot earlier, because what's happening is if we agree that these measurements look great and then someone goes and gets the survey and the surveyor tells us something is 3-5 meters off, that could be a huge difference, and that may have to come back to council. We feel that introducing this requirement would help ensure the approvals are based on information that more closely reflects the reality of the parcel and would reduce the likelihood of revisions later in the process. If this is something that council would wish to require, it would shift the cost from the municipality's ratepayers to the subdivision applicant. They will need to discuss how they wish to enact this change and direct administration accordingly. We had a few ways or a few options on what you might be looking for as your outcome, and that kind of determines how we go about it. So one idea that we had was to change the application requirements and simply with your application require that tentative survey plan right off the bat. And then if you, the kind of risk with that is if you're denied, you've spent that cost on the survey and then you're denied, you can't move forward. But if you are approved, you would need to have an additional cost to make that registerable. So the cost does go up for the applicant slightly, but it reduces for the county by more than what the applicant is increasing, provided they are approved. In that requirement, we could add additional requirements, such as we require the distances to all structures, septic elements, water elements, just to make sure everything that we are following provincial legislation on is indicated in there and we have that information verified. The second option that we had would be to require a tentative survey from approved surveyor lists. So we could have all the same requirements as option one, but we could require them to pick from certain surveyors that have registered with us. The ease of that is ensuring there's consistency in what that looks like for every file that comes to the table. We could also require a tentative survey from an approved surveyor list with pricing commitments. So we could go about it, request surveyors to give us what that price would be for anyone in our county, have essentially a table for different areas, whether that be wards, zones, or whatnot, with the approximate cost. That gets a little more complicated for us. And then we could also require them to operate from a single surveyor. if we had an agreement with that surveyor. The risk of operating with a single surveyor is it would be the highest standardization and administrative consistency, but you're reducing the ability to choose a surveyor of your choice. You're reducing the competition within the area. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what outcome you would prefer, if there's any comments.
So, have you, reached out to any surveyor what a tentative plan may cost? I know there will be different, things that they have to measure on the tentative plan, I mean, more buildings, more stuff, but do you know approximately what that cost is?
We had a
Opposed
chat
to
with
what-
one originally, and that's what kind of started this whole process. I think it was somewhere between 25 and 3, I thought, yeah.
For just the tentative plan to be,
You said 4 to 5,000.
But right now, like, we're spending $2,500 on this anyway, the difference is we're paying.
Yeah.
that was my next question, how much it's costing us now?
Yeah.
And that tentative plan isn't even, it's done by us, by selling it, it'll
Like, I
really.
was just.
No, they're spending that money again after anyways.
Yeah. Which they also still have to do in some fashion, it would just maybe be less.
Yeah.
That's out of our control at that point. But like, when we look at, I'm just looking at our last bill here. Cause they itemize it now by where we're spending money on, so we spent $1,842 on subdivisions, but we didn't actually.
We had
process any back,
one subdivision and it was minimal hours,
Yeah.
so.
Right,
But for instance, like one of the files we had last year, we had some issues with making sure those measurements were correct, and that bill was well over 3,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, someone is paying the cost at the end of the day. Yeah, it's just whether all the ratepayers pay it or the applicant pays it and what that looks like.
But there's also the false start. I mean, a lot of people that just get an idea of how much it's gonna be to do the subdivision. It's not gonna, it's gonna cost me $200. And it's a whole lot of cost on us via ISL, just do it like a preliminary tentative plan. And that's at $165 an hour. I think it's
$225 for their mapping lady.
$225.
And I
So,
don't think it's uncommon, I think NNSA, requires this kind of.
mhm.
and they also charge a lot more for an application. It's very, very cheap to do a subdivision here, and at the end of the day, it's subsidized.
Yeah.
By municipal taxes, so.
So I like your option 3 because it does kind of put it, you know, the price, good price limitations, right?
Mhm.
So there's no big surprises. If they had a schedule of what this would cost, then the applicant would know ahead of time what he's getting into, not say, go ahead and do it, and then get an unexpected bill, but that's just my thought, that's.
But they would actually reach out to the surveyors themselves, not us. And they just come with the application, then bring the surveyor report with.
Yeah, but I mean, the way I'm reading it, that they would, yeah, obviously they would be direct contact with the surveyor, but the surveyor would provide kind of a price limitation. Depending on the property, I guess, or.
Yeah, that was for option 3. We were hoping to have some sort of price references to give the applicant. We have a few options there. So one would be essentially like a commenced equipment list. This is my company name. This is my contact point. This is roughly how much I would charge as a jumping off point. Another one would just be, these are people we have agreed they understand what we want. Here's the list, or just any surveyor as long as you meet these requirements.
There's essentially an infinite list of surveyors in this province.
Mhm.
In reality, there are 2 companies that do 99% of the surveys in our municipality.
Yeah.
The few times we've had a different name come up because it's somebody's buddy,
Mhm.
those have always been the absolute worst ones to do start to finish. Just because nothing really changes except the specifics in your guys' land use bylaw they have to adhere to.
I don't even know if a surveyor can give you they can give you an approximate, but every subdivision is different and there's so many things that come into factor.
Yeah, and if you do end up getting a blanket price, my only concern is that
Exactly.
that might be padded for some people and lower for others too, right? So,
I think, if they, you know, if you provide a list, like the number 2, then they can give them a call and get an estimate.
Well, the thing
Because
is
the
too,
prices are gonna be all over.
is we could have a 1 page or 2 page, whatever. This is what County Northern Lights requires.
Yeah, and that's probably
Give
the
that,
simplest.
then you're not losing things in translation between this guy and the surveyor and.
Right.
Yeah, and then you also wouldn't have a survey list to keep up on administratively to contact and get mailing addresses, phone numbers, all of that, but at the very least, changing the requirement might assist us in dealing with some of these issues before we get to the endorsement stage on finding that there's discrepancies, but
And it's probably realistically gonna change who Pearl or I are dealing with for ISL. We're probably not gonna have questions from the landowner anymore, it's gonna be questions from the surveyor,
There.
which is much easier to get through and much faster.
That's right.
Okay, so you're looking for some direction from council then?
yeah.
And so we discussed method of obtaining outcome, so.
So yeah, depending on how we wanted to do it, or what your outcome that you're looking to have, there's a few ways of going about it. We can do a request for proposal, so we could award it to multiple proponents, provided it's clearly stated in the request that and reflected in the evaluation criteria and supported in the award clause that we could have multiple surveyors we're working with. That would allow any survey company to provide a proposal, and it could also have standardization requirements for the formatting. We could do a request for quote where we allow companies from which the quote is requested to provide their information. Also gives us a little bit of standardization, or we could just change our requirement. That would be the simplest probably, but this would allow for any surveyor in the province to meet our requirements, and we just have a standardization of what we need. Okay, so we could move forward then with the option 1 and change our requirements. And we'll bring that back to you for approval at a later date.
Just some things to think about with that though. It's a big burden shift from who is bearing the cost, which probably is fine, right? But you might want to think about how much of a grace period you want to give people, if we want to advertise this for a while, if you want to have any kind of consultation. I've done some casual consultation with some frequent subdivision applicants. You do this for a reason. You're typically pending a sale and you're gonna make some money. So most people that I have spoken with aren't opposed to this. They understand they've been getting a good deal for a long time. And those who have done it elsewhere understand what the reality of this process. But something for you guys to think about, because for the average, like, small landowner that's looking just to do this, it's a big shift.
Yeah,
To the tune of-
farms to separation.
Yes.
They've historically done them for $300 or whatever.
Well, $300 to you, they've always had to pay a surveyor, and that surveyor probably was running them about $3,000 for a simple
I guess
farmstead.
just it's coming up front.
Yeah, but there'd have to be surveyed or.
Well, it's coming up front, and it's probably gonna be 1.5 times that, because they still have to get a. And I don't understand this necessarily, if a surveyor does a tentative plan, to me, it's like, how much more money is it actually gonna cost you to just register it? It shouldn't be that much, but they'll charge the.
Yeah, because the work on the ground is
Yeah,
done.
you've done that.
Just from our side is that we pay ISL to do the drawing. That's really not
It's not even.
sufficient to actually be registering any deeds on. So we're actually paying that money unnecessarily, in my opinion. We could rather just get them to do the survey and have it approved.
Kind of bypass ISL.
The only thing we need to be aware of is by adding these requirements, like the location of the septic, the water, and all of those items, you're making it so they can't use a descriptive plan. They need someone to come out and actually do the survey. It's beneficial for us, but some people had a slightly lower cost of survey, so for those people, it will be higher.
But also the inaccuracies in some of
That's the main.
Really a concern to me, because I mean, the council is approving, or the NPC is approving, no, that would be council approving it. and you base it on the information that's provided, and that is not
It's not-
certified, this is actual true and.
Well,
Yeah.
They sign a form promising that it's true.
Yeah. But it's-
But right now,
Will be future.
the county pays for the first plan that comes to you and is approved, and then the taxpayer is paying for another plan to go to survey. We're just eliminating one of the two costs essentially.
So is there any legislation that we need to be advertising that we're going to do this? We're not changing the schedule of fees. We're still gonna be charging the $300 application fee. It's just the behind the scenes or before the application comes.
It may be a land use bylaw
Is there
amendment.
something?
Yeah, you have to change your forms for sure,
Yes.
and the process documents, I don't think it's actually in
Your public awareness policy.
Yeah.
You change a process or program or service, you are to, make sure you have public awareness on that.
Absolutely.
We'll work through that for sure.
Which could be just
Social media.
Social media, we can say, we'll not have a town hall or anything.
But just so that we're not just like pumping this and,
It would be a
Mhm.
weird one to have a town hall because there's like
no.
two
totally.
people that do this fairly frequently. Everybody else might do it once in their life, right? And so.
No, I just meant, like, giving it a timeline before we change something.
Oh, yeah.
Popping it next month.
Yeah. I think that touches too with Josh's grace period there. We'll have
Yeah,
to look
because the-
into.
With what happens, if anybody is actually sitting there watching, you might get quite an influx of applications here. Right away,
Well,
but,
exactly, that's.
I doubt
Mhm.
it, but.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. This gives us a place to jump off and we'll go from there.
Acknowledge receipt of the surveyors and subdivision application report, move forward with option one, change application requirements noted in the report, and bring back to council, including the public awareness advertising plan.
Beautiful. Thank you guys very much.
Further discussion, questions for Carmen? All in favor? Carried, thank you.
A question about, so the vote, but,
Mhm.
just on the application fee, is that just a flat rate?
Yeah, so it's $100 flat rate fee and then $100 per lot created. So when somebody takes the first parcel out of a quarter, it's $300.
Oh,
Yeah. It's pretty,
no other municipalities, they charge by the value, manage of the value is the value.
yeah, they do. It's all different. It's really interesting to see.
Well,
Yeah.
just the savings we'll have at the
Yes,
back end,
yes.
it's just the preliminary
This-
plans,
this-
we're gonna save at least
be more-
about $2,000 per application already.
It's not fair, the repair, all the repairs.
Yeah, and last year we had 19 subdivision files, so that's a good chunk of change, about $45,000 at least.
It would be a big change and I'm sure we'll get some good.
Probably. Thank you, guys.
So good.
He's good at that.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, Blake, 6.6.3, item A, the farm family award.
Basically, we've already kind of discussed this, I don't know, early January or back before Christmas when we kind of updated that policy. I did reach out to Explore Edmonton. They were gonna kind of take over the event for when it switched over from not being held at Northlands. They were never really able to plan anything, but since then they confirmed that the Northern Alberta Farm Family Award will be undertaken by the Alberta Ag Association Societies. And I reached out to the guy there and he said they are planning something for 2026. They were going to start reaching out to municipalities over the next couple months to kind of plan something. So it does sound like there'll be a more provincially centralized event somewhere. It's still kind of up in the air, no details. At the time we talked about also just kind of carrying on with our own nomination process that kind of aligns with the old process and just select our family earlier than waiting till June, July, and then have them recognized at least locally at the Farmer Appreciation Night at Napera. And then if there is a centrally event, we would still submit the name forward that they could go to that event and be recognized as well and get whatever plaque or something they offer. Below you'll see like kind of like running lists we've kind of had with previous councils and names we've kind of put on there. The old system used to be you could put it out to calls per public, like to the public and advertise and have people nominate people they see fit for like suggestions and then council kind of like deliberate on who they think it should get. When we did it that way, it kind of seemed like we got like the same people that read the newspaper and nominate farm family awards, just kind of like kept nominating people in their area. So we kind of like got like concentrated all of the people were kind of coming from this one area of the people that were willing to do the nomination process. So in the past, we've kind of switched to council was just nominating, but then for a while there, like a lot of the nominations come out of Ward 6. So then we kind of went to like trying to pick one from each ward. So this is kind of the current list we have right now. And if you do want to go ahead, we've already told Napera that we want to nominate, recognize them at the event so that they could get their marketing stuff out for the event, that'll be part of their dinner on the supper dinner on the 17th. So the current list that I had kind of had the Michael Chuck family out of Keg River. The next online, and then Michael Scott, you'll see it goes 2022, 2026. We missed 2024. We just kind of, I don't know, didn't be proactive or thinking somebody would pick up an event. And then we thought maybe they'd recognize the missed 2024 and 2025. And then they also didn't have an event in 2025. So as long as everybody's okay with that list and wants to make the motion official from the email, we go ahead and reach out to the Michael Chuck family and get some sort of bio for them for the Napera event. And then the other thing will be whether you guys want to get a table and if Linda wants to attend as being the counselor from that ward. And if any of you guys want to attend, maybe the county can get a whole table or something for the event.
So just looking at this list, so why wouldn't we have 6, 3, 2, 7, 2, why wouldn't we have 4 and 5 up there before repeating?
Oh yeah, so I got 4 as 2032. So I just went 1 in 2030. It could be 4 for 2030. And then I just never went far enough back to get a previous number 4. Yeah, so that's what I did I put wards like 1, 4, and 5 for 30, 32, and 34 will be the next ones so that they get on the list because you can see they haven't been on the list yet. So it'll be up to us or you guys, however you want to call for nominations further, whether like in January you want to put it out to the public because Napera's event is usually in March or April. End of March or mid-April. This year it's on the 17th. So we can decide however you guys want to do that.
Should we talk with Ward 1, 4, and 5? Maybe for Ward 2.
I just left Michael Scott where it was there because that's what previous councils decided on these names, not me.
We just
Yeah, so if you want to remove that one and come up with a different name or move it down, that's fine. I just was not going to alter a list you guys had previously nominated myself, right? So if you guys this is the whole point.
Just a list, and that's just the way it shook out. Like, I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, so if everybody, I guess the first question is everybody happy with wanting to nominate Michael Chucks and move forward with that for 2026? The list on from 2028 can be amended however you guys see fit.
So do you think, I mean, see how this Explore Edmonton event goes, and we might go back to that, or we're just gonna cover ties with that and just do our own?
Well, the Explore Edmonton's not doing it at all, so it'll be whatever the Alberta Ag Associations decide. So we have an option in the policy where basically we'll give them $1,000 to attend the external event. So like external from outside of our county, wherever that's decided, that's hosted from now on, $1,000 to cover their costs, or $1,000 in some form of a gift, whether it's a watch, fire pit, kind of whatever they want that's branded saying they're the farm family from us, or would they rather take the $1,000 and just get the potential plaque or whatever gift the Alberta Ag Associations is going to give them for recognition? those are the options in the policy. So if we gave them $1,000 gift and a fireplace, we're not gonna give them $1,000 cash to host the event. So they'll either be out of pocket or just decide not to attend.
Because I think when I went with Monsters, we gave them money towards their trip out there, and then BMO did their big gate sign, I think.
Yeah, plaque.
Yeah, it was like the big thing for their gate or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
but that was the last year it was at, Farm Fair.
Yeah, so BMO would have been the sponsor then. And then that's kind of where it got lost, is when they lost the Northlands and Explore Edmonton, they couldn't find a partner to want to pay for the event. Cause I think the whole event cost roughly, like ATB used to do it. And I remember talking to the guy there and he said the whole event cost cost him $100,000 by the time they rented it and did the dinner and all the plaques. And so they kind of lost sponsorship for it. So the list can be changed. Like, don't get fixated on where Ward 2 is. Like, we can shuffle him down or up, but the other people's in wards 1, 4, and 5, you guys should be thinking of maybe people, or we could put the calls out and just say like, hey, we're looking for nominations for farm families in wards 2, 4, and 5, or 1, 4, and 5, however you want to do it. Or you could just internally decide, or it's under your powers to form a committee to do it too, if you so wish, but yeah.
People are.
Yeah. And we could just never nominate somebody from Ward 5, 2, or 4, or if you guys want, like, that's your guys' choice, right?
I think it's important, I know like when I went out, with Monsters, it like meant so much to them, and they were so proud and appreciative, and I think it means a lot to them. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see us continue it in some way. Maybe that doesn't mean going out to Edmonton, maybe it means doing it locally, just at Nevada, that's fine.
Well, some people might not want to go to the external event, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see how this one goes this year in Para. I think that would be great to just keep it local. I
Yeah.
mean, I went to several too, out of Edmonton, the Northlands was doing it, ATB and BMO. And it's great to be recognized by your peers, because it was all of Alberta then, right? Every second year.
Well, except the South, because the South would get nominated at Calgary Stampede.
It was all just North, but there was lots of municipalities there, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting called up to the stage and recognized in front of, similar
Crowd.
Yeah, and that was important, but maybe just getting recognized locally is equal. So yeah, I say that we do this Nevada thing this year, and give them their fire pit, whatever you think, or we just give them the cash that we would give them anyway, or I think.
We could kind of tell them like, hey, we think there's an event coming up. So do you want to wait till that event is confirmed and see what it is? And then do you want us to give you $1,000 to offset your costs there? Or do you want a fire pit from us as well, and then cover your own costs to go to that event if you so choose?
But if it's a local event, is there any cost? And if we do this award at the Para, then there is no hotel rooms or.
No, we just buy their tickets, right? So you'd be out whatever that is, $50 or something to attend the dinner.
Sorry, one.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's what they want, then we'll have to obviously source that and either work with somebody to come up with some sort of design or whatever, if they want the fire pit presented at actually Napera, or if they just want to be recognized there, and then we just deliver the fire pit in like the summer or something.
Is that the designer, is that us to decide as a?
Well, how fast can you find one in the winter at this time?
I think those gate signs are pretty, it's a good token of, to show that you're recognized, and
Yeah.
you could have them big mark graphics, I'm sure it can punch out anything you want, right?
Yeah.
There's that Mark's
I was just thinking that
He
too.
does, also does gates.
Gate signs. That's who? Mars Customs or something? Oh, yeah. Yeah, like we could reach out and get whatever they're kind of interested in.
Well, if you wanted to do.
He does the place that he does awesome, so.
Does benching.
Where's he out of? Yeah, Charles sounds all excited about it. Like, we'll just hand this off to him.
I've already got one. I got 2 crusher cones sitting in my yard if anyone wants.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so.
They're actually carrots, but he just hasn't came collected them yet.
People that actually for the
For the-
racial trucks, but then the
Oh, for sure. I mean, just not
Like
expecting
it
to come with. I think they'll give it a work, what's up?
significant others.
Yeah, well, they're family,
They're family.
and you're not gonna put a limit on it and immediate family, right? So, I mean, in Michael Chuck's case, their son is.
Dave, yeah.
No, Lori.
Son.
Dave's his son.
It's as a Lori or Larry, I always call him Larry. but-
Yeah, Larry.
It's Lori, but everyone calls him Larry.
Yeah, I know. I heard he doesn't like being called Larry, but a lot of people do.
Motion says Lori and Dave.
Well, Dave's his son.
That-
So it'll be the Michael Chuck family, right?
So I'd say Lori and what's her name?
Linda probably knows.
Linda knows, your face.
It's not John.
Well, maybe we can offer them a table and they can fill it with whoever they want.
Right, we'll cover it.
Yeah, and a pair probably be pretty reasonable with us on the table. Like, and then if council wants to get their own table, I don't know how many of you guys want to go. Surely you don't have to decide today. The event's on the 17th, so it's still a couple more council meetings in between for you guys to figure that out.
Roll your screen down. We can see the top part of the motion.
She's saying Lori and Joanne.
That's it, Joanne, that's right.
So put Joanne in there.
Joanne's Dave's wife, Dave's wife.
No, leave Lori, but get rid of David for Joanne.
You could just put the Michael Chuck family too if you want. I don't know.
Lori, my family.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Lori, Michael Chuck and family, yeah.
It's Linda's motion, she can use it how she wants.
Do you want me to include the purchase of tickets for council and the immediate family or no?
Council have to decide if they're gonna attend it, but these flight tickets are, we've got time to make this.
Is Linda on the meeting or no?
Yeah, she wants to make this motion.
Does she want to phone and give them the good news, or does she want me to do that, or what is it? Cause like I can reach out and get the bio and stuff for Napera, but I don't know if she wants to phone and congratulate him personally. I don't know what you guys want to do.
I don't know how we typically do that. I think it was always the field end did that before.
Well, we would just reach out and do the intake form, cause Northlands had their own, Merpimo had their own like 2 or 3 page intake form.
I mean, it's always good. You did that already.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, we can do it however we want. If Linda personally wants to phone him and congratulate him before they hear from me.
She absolutely can. She talks to them all the time, so she can do that and follow up with the bio and
Yeah,
the details and.
I just want to make sure she can. If she wants to be the first one to notify him, she can. If not,
She has not commented yet on that.
So Linda, next time you see the Michael Chuck family, you can congratulate them on being the farm family award for. And we'll be attending the pair event on April 17th. So anyway, motion is there, all in favor? It's carried.
okay, and you guys will work on propagating this list moving forward to kind of have a running list, because I know you guys preferred the running list instead of me coming in like June and be like, hey, we need to think of one, and then you guys are all like, you know, like. So maybe just if you're in wards 1, 4, and 5, kind of think about some suggestions, and then you want us to bring this back to the rest of council for you guys to decide if you want to actually attend the event. I imagine Gary's gonna attend anyways, as being on the board. Or do possibly some of you think you want to go already?
Next meeting, you can bring it back.
Last one in the March.
But then we should have a clearer path of what we're building our calendars.
Okay, well, maybe just keep that in your brain or calendars. It's April 17th is the date, which is a Friday night, I believe. And then, Danny Hooper is the entertainment MC. I think some of you guys liked him before when he was at ASB, so maybe you want to go. He'll be there they shared the promo stuff with you, Gerhard and Teresa too, right? So she could forward that off to you guys as well.
He was pretty fresh because he don't come cheap.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, that's pretty expensive. He was 10 grand to do the ASB, I think.
But that was a bigger event, though. That was a 3-day event, right? So
Yeah,
this
true.
is one night, so
3 grand.
he's still in the Belize right now. He's got
Yeah.
about-
It'd be pretty tanned.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
No problem. So 17th, I have to go to work. I'm gonna be in the old meeting, I think. Well, we've got a couple other items to clean up for our NPC meeting, so item 7.0, we have one late board report, so just the motion to accept that for information. Councillor Zinsky, all in favor, carried. Info pack. Any comments coming out of it?
I would like to make a motion out of that one if I could. I'd like to see us invite the new detachment commander Lowell to come and meet with
He's
council.
coming March 10th.
Okay, perfect.
Already done.
Okay, then I'm good. Thank you.
No other comments on the info package? Got a motion to accept this information then?
I can.
Okay, Councillor Please, all in favor? It's carried. Then we can do open mic now. All we have left is our NPC meeting, which is going to be just another communicate our internet tower. Nothing big there to discuss, so and then the rest of the meeting will be on camera, so if you have any questions at this point, we can.
I was just wondering, if you could explain the motion, what the Cave River water quality monitoring. report.
So Kid River and Naughty Cube River, both right, two rivers.
Yeah.
So. Too bad Blake left so soon. Probably is more knowledgeable about it. So we've had this ongoing water quality monitoring on those two rivers. And it's been some grant funding for it, I believe, but now we're not so certain that the grant funding will follow it anymore.
Right.
And it's, I guess we're just wondering what, you know, what benefit we're seeing from it, if the price that we're maybe seeing. And so we just want to table it till we get more clarity on if there's going to be, what the actual cost will be. And who would bear that cost? It would be the municipality or would be the other environment grant. And, you know, maybe a combination of both. So yeah, these are simple water tests, pull water out of the river at designated locations, send it to a lab for analysis, and then send us the data back. And when that data is forwarded to the Mighty Peace Water Shed Alliance and to the town of Manning, because that's their source of water. And then, of course, we have a water treatment plant in Cave River, that's our source. So it's nice to have that baseline and where we're at. I don't know what else I can tell you about it, but
For the rural renew stream, but I don't know. Because you're not immigration, they're asking you to be immigration.
Not specific.
So I was just wondering, who are you dealing with when you're on the phone? You said you weren't talking with government ministers.
No, they have program administrators as their titles, so they're for the government when their task is administering this program.
Right.
And it's a headache because immigration is a federal government problem.
Yes, of course.
And what the federal government did is how can we make this a provincial problem? And then the province went, how can we make this not our problem? So now everybody's involved, which creates headaches.
Yeah.
so is it jobs, economy, trade and immigration department that you deal with?
No, I don't deal with any.
Well, I mean, it's a bureaucrat from some
Right, that
department.
would be who is in charge of it,
Yeah.
to the extent of like deciding how many people they're gonna let in and what kinds of jobs they want those people to fill. But even they're at the mercy of the federal government to decide ultimately how many immigrants we're gonna let into this country every year, right? So it's.
Yeah. And they asked you to advise that individual,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Ultimately, yes, they said, we recommend you don't give this person a letter because they indicated they had one and they didn't. Said for them said. That I'm sure you have recorded already, yeah. Right, it's just, this is the whole problem with this is you're involving too many people, none of this is in my control or jurisdiction. I'll write you a letter because I know that your employer exists and they have told me they've offered you a job. I don't even care if you're legally allowed to work here, that's their problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so. And we do this, we being the county and the town. Only to assist our local employers in filling job vacancies that they have not been able to otherwise fill. Did I dance around that one?
Well, just some comment as an immigrant myself, I mean, how the whole work permit thing is specific to an employer. So they would probably have to get that letter first from the employer, then we support it as the municipality. If they leave the employment of the employer, then officially their work permit is cancelled. And they can either, like they're probably doing now, apply at a different spot for a work permit, or if it's a work visa. And if they can't find that within a certain amount of time, they have to leave the country and go back to where they're from. So.
And all of that I am not trained in at all. Nor do I ever want to be.
Me neither, I'm
Yeah.
just, that's the process that we had to follow coming in.
I'm
Anything else,
happy
John?
to show you like the program website, Dan, if you want, and just direct you to where all the information is.
Well, I talked to a Reeve of a county of them. But it was about the zone 4 meeting, and he didn't mention anything about Kalen being the
I'm sure.
when did that happen at the zone 4?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So each district in the province has a chair and a vice chair.
Yeah.
For their zone, and so that's what, our previous chair, I think, did he get back on council 70 or not? But anyway, he gave it up, so it was a vacancy there, so at that zone meeting, we, nominated Kaylin, and nobody else put their name forward, so she got the seat.
I was curious, it wasn't mentioned in the discussion.
Yeah.
And that would be for a
It's not the.
2-year term.
2-year term, yeah.
It's a 2-year term.
Okay. Well, that's it for me. All I need is that photo.
So where would you like to take the? In the foyer or in here?
If I can make a recommendation, not outside, please.
No. Yeah. We'll go with that.
Let's go in the lobby. Yeah. Pardon me?
In the hallway?
Well, if that works for you.
Sure.
I mean, it is nice to have the logo in the background, but,
Oh, we could do it here if you
have to
want.
have it at all. Pardon
No, we got Cal.
We've got one more member of the gallery, maybe.
We can.
Barely got anything for him?
Yeah, I've got Cal online now, so maybe we can start with that.
Yeah.
Well, we will.
I was trying.
We'll finish that off. This you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and then, but we'll get his picture first so he can read it to us.
I want to know if Phil had any questions.
Oh, yeah, open mic, yeah.
The only thing I would comment on, I've been doing a little research on how the county's been operating and how the council's been making decisions. And I would recommend that you go back and read your policies, because I don't think on many situations, you are actually following your own policies that you've written.
Can you elaborate?
Okay, well, for example, one, I had a meeting with Gerard, and I asked, how come we don't have more ratepayers meet? And he says, we think ratepayers meetings are campaigning, so we just don't hold them, because that's unfair to everybody who's gonna be running for the office. I specifically read in your policy that ratepayer meetings are council business, and you guys get paid for going to those. And if they are council business, why don't you have them more often? Because ratepayers want to be able to talk to you. And unless they drive here and get a say, we have no say in what's going on.
So how we've been doing it is it's up to the individual councilors. How if they want to conduct them. We don't have any, like, we've never regularly scheduled them.
So, yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because when I was on council, we had at least one a year. It was just automatic, everybody had at least one a year. But I would like to see more than that.
I don't think it's covered specifically in our policy, though, the frequency of them.
No, it's not, that it just says that they are the council business.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah, you bet.
So, so when we had our, is it 30 years, 35 years, I can't remember now, 30-year anniversary, we had a big town hall meeting planned for everybody. We had 3 people pitching. It's either 3 or 5, I can't remember. In the previous one we had was, I just joined here, so that's almost 2 years ago now. We had Was the ratepayers meeting?
Yeah, it was Ward 5 and.
And I think we had
Yeah, but, yeah.
maybe 7 people
Yeah.
attending, so it's not well attended at all, well, at all.
No.
So we're spending lots of money on hosting it, but people are not attending it.
I understand that. Most of the time, unless it's in the paper, I don't see it. And sometimes we miss the paper, so those things just happen, and it might happen that I can't always attend. But I'm becoming more interested in what's going on. That's why I'm here, trying to be at every meeting and trying to get more people, but when you really have no say and you guys really, we get the impression you're not listening to us, why keep beating our head against the wall?
Well, in my meeting I had with you, I recommended, I mean, the best way of getting a response would be to either come to the meetings, that would be first prize, and second would be to send a formal letter to council, then we put it on the agenda and council has to address whatever is put on there. So that's the 2 options that's available. But my preference or my suggestion would be, please come in person, because it's good to have people, the public, actually attending these meetings.
And it's been really good, and I have to say, over the last month or 2 that I've been coming in, I've talked to most of the staff members, and they have been absolutely wonderful in answering my questions, giving me the information I've needed, super friendly, super helpful, no matter what. Call me back if I leave a message.
Just
I couldn't say more about
a follow-up comment on that, we're also recording these meetings. And if I look at the YouTube views, it ranges between 2 and maybe 12, 14 people that's actually viewing the meeting, so it's.
Well, we've discussed that, it's hard to hear them, why would you go on if you can't hear them?
Yeah.
And so you're working on that, I appreciate that.
So just to follow up, I mean, because there's low attendance, that's no excuse that we won't continue to have ratepayer meetings. I mean, maybe not as often as we should, I don't know, but I mean, all we can do is try again, and if nobody shows up, right? We can't control that.
I think it's better, because then you can say to me, we had a meeting, you were the only one who showed up, or 3 people showed up, or 4 people. Then nobody else can come and say, well, you're not coming and listening to us.
Yeah.
At least we're paying for it anyway, so let's do something, try something
Yeah, I
different.
think last year wards 1, 2, and 3 went together on our ratepayer meeting, and that seemed to work better. There was more people in attendance than just one ward,
Right.
so you might give it again.
One more comment, Jared, and then we'll go with pictures.
Yeah, my recommendation would be maybe when we get the audited financials released, we can have in both sides, north and south of the county, maybe do it as part of that, because previous like that's probably the only ratepayers meeting that
There's 2 people in the county that really care about that.
Yeah, Josh,
They have a chat with them.
But exactly to Paul's point, that would be the information that we have to give out is the financials, and that would be the perfect place to actually do that. If people pitch, they pitch. If they don't pitch, we track it.
Okay, any other questions, Phil? Okay,
thanks.
So, it's 11 o'clock, so Dan, we're gonna just do our MPC quickly, and then we'll go for the pictures, so Earl, Daryl, turn it over to Chair Beckon.
So we'll call the MPC meeting to order at 11 o'clock AM. We'll just move right into the agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the items presented? Councillor Yasinski. All in favor? Carried. Move over to the minutes of the February 10th meeting. Is there errors or omissions? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve the minutes? Councillor Ungarian, all in favor? Carried. So with 4.0 BA, development permit DP 26-02, and Gail, you're going to be presenting. Good morning.
Good morning. So the applicant proposes a 45-meter communication tower on the southwest of 1595-22 west of the 5th. The quarter section is designated Agriculture General A District. The proposed tower is defined as public utility and listed as a discretionary use within this district. The applicant has indicated that the tower, made of steel, requires a pile footing with safety light and lightning protection and will be located within a fenced 3 meter by 3 meter compound. The tower is the 9th application that has been submitted by the applicant. The quarter section is located immediately north of Highway 692 and 34 kilometers northeast of the Manning town limits. The quarter section has a residence and accessory buildings with Gravina Creek running north-south and surrounded by trees on both sides. The balance of the lands on both sides of the creek are in agricultural production. The proposed tower is in the yard site east of the accessory buildings. A development agreement is not required by the county as access to the site is governed by transportation and economic corridors. The proposed development meets all regulations of the A district. Access to the tower is located off Highway 692 near the southeast corner of the quarter section. The applicant has received permit approval from Transportation and Economic Corridors for the proposed development. The applicant, in accordance with Industry Canada requirements, advertised the location and a description of the proposed development in the Mile Zero banner post on December 17, 2025. The applicant reports that no comments and/or concerns were received from members of the public. No additional notification was required as per Section 4.2 of the Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada and Section I-23.15 of the county's land use bylaw. The application was also sent to referral agencies. Alberta Energy Regulator, TELUS, and the county all responded and indicated they had no concerns with the proposed development. Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors responded indicating that a permit has been issued for the proposed development and advised the location of a communication tower on the site did not warrant the need for any upgrade or closure of the existing access. As a result, a development agreement for existing or future accesses is not required. It is recommended that the application for the location of a 45-meter communication tower on the southwest of 1595-22 west of the 5th be approved, subject to the 7 conditions outlined.
Thank you, Gail. Any questions from council for Gail? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve BP-26-03 with 7 conditions? Councillor Reese, all in favor? Carried. We will adjourn the meeting at 11:04.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll step out in the hallway and get our pink t-shirts. Lined up.